Alright, what's going on, everybody? This is Z3 here, back with a brand new video. It's been a bit since I've done a sports video, as we know. Past 3 years, I think, in a row, I have done my March Madness recaps. Big college basketball fan. However, I'm also a big college football fan from Texas, so I am naturally University of Texas Longhorn fan. Make fun of me in the comments if you wish. But we'll see what happens in the season. I'm actually a much bigger fan of college sports than professional. I think the NFL and the NBA are honestly borderline unwatchable at this point. I don't watch any games really at all, except for the playoffs, and even then it's not that enjoyable either. It's just the atmosphere is different and the players play harder. It's just a totally different game in college, and it's 100% factually better than professional sports, even if the skill level is not there. And March Madness is the greatest sporting event in the world besides FIFA. I've said that before in many videos. But today we're going to be discussing this college football season. It's been one of the best in recent memories in terms of just teams that you'll see here in the start or other teams you will see when I switch over. It was a great season. It should be a great playoff and bowl games as well at the end of the season. Some controversies, and we're going to get through all of that. Originally, I was just going to do a reaction to the final college football ranking and who got in and who didn't. However, I wanted to also talk a little bit about the season in general, some things that I got right and some things that I got wrong in my predictions. And so let's go ahead and get started. The preseason rankings: top 4, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, LSU at 5, USC, Penn State, Florida, Clemson, and Washington rounding out the top 10 with Texas, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Utah, Oregon, top 15, and the last 10 teams being Kansas State, TCU, Oregon State, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Tulane, and Iowa. So let's go ahead and get through it at some point. Let's first start with LSU at number 5. Jayden Daniels, one of the Heisman favorites. He has that unprecedented season stat-wise. However, as we know, LSU did not have the best season altogether. They lost to FSU in the first game and did not have a good defense. And even though Jayden Daniels had one of the best statistical performances in history of college football, they just were not a well-rounded team and did not win what they needed to win. Going up again, USC with the former Heisman winner, Caleb Williams. I said this in the beginning of the season. I think USC is a fraudulent team. I think they have no defense, and I thought that in the Pac-12 that they would lose quite a bit of games. And as you can see at the end, they were right. USC almost lost to Colorado. Let's be real. They got blown out by Notre Dame, and got smacked by a lot of other teams, losing to Washington, Oregon, UCLA, Utah. They lost 5 games, or 7-5. Quite frankly, USC this year was the most fraudulent team in the history of college football, and honestly, I love it. I was thoroughly pleased with a team from California being fraudulent and exposing themselves as not a good team at all, and Caleb Williams did not have a great year at all. And honestly, he's still a great quarterback, but his draft stock did not do good this year, especially with how he's been about how he wants a percentage of the team when he gets drafted, and only these teams should draft him. Like, maybe you should not go 7-5 before you talk like that. Penn State, number 7, losing to Michigan and Ohio State. A great year. They just, for some reason, could not get over the hump and have continued to not beat Michigan and Ohio State year in and year out. But other than that, they're a good team. Florida State, we'll talk about that at the next slide. Clemson, another fraudulent team in the top 10. They lost their very first game of the season. I forget to who at this point. Was it Louisville? I can't be sure, but we'll talk about Louisville in a bit. But Clemson did not have a great start. We're out of the top 25. Got back into the top 25 at the end of the season, but not the best start for them and not the best year for them. However, I will credit to them not giving up on the season and ending it off on a decent note, and hopefully they'll get a bowl win game for them. I'm not a Clemson fan, but kudos to them. Washington had the best season in quite a few decades. They're in the playoffs. Texas, my team, great season. We'll get into that in a little bit. Tennessee, not a great season. Joe Milton did not play as though we expected. I honestly thought Tennessee was going to have a banner year this year, and that if Joe Milton played up to his potential, they could maybe beat Georgia and win the SEC, but they did not. They had a disappointing year, to say the least, and got exposed as another fraudulent team, to be frank. Notre Dame. Now, this is a team that I thought was going to be in the playoffs. I thought with the addition of Sam Hartman transferring from Wake Forest, I thought he was a stellar quarterback, could definitely be in the Heisman favorites. I thought that this was their year to maybe get into the playoffs and maybe even compete for a championship. They've been in the playoffs before, however, each time they get blown out. But I thought this year, with a great defense and now a really good quarterback, they could do some damage. However, Sam Hartman did not pan out. He had some great games, and then he had some bad games. He was just too inconsistent, and Notre Dame did not do what I expected. Utah, the same thing. Cam Rising. Honestly, if Cam Rising played and was not hurt, I feel like he would be the Heisman, and Utah would be undefeated, and they would have won the Pac-12, because they also have a very great defense, and they would have had the best quarterback in the nation, but he got hurt. I think he was either the third string, ended up playing, but they were still a dangerous team, and just the injuries were just unfortunate for Utah. I really thought they could have special season coming up, but like many others, injuries ruined it for them. Oregon, with Bo Nix, might win the Heisman, and they had a great game, just could not get those last second plays that they needed to go their way. Otherwise, they could be also in the playoffs. Kansas State, they're a good team. They almost beat Texas, but TCU did not deserve to be in the top 25 in the beginning of the season, even if they were in the playoffs last year, beat Michigan, and then got their ass beat by Georgia. However, let's be real, no one's going to beat Georgia. We'll get more into that later as well. They got beat by Colorado the first game of the season. In overtime, maybe? And again, Colorado shot in like the top 10. And the hype built up for Deion's first year in Colorado, and then they ended up losing 7 out of their last 8 games. But then again, they were like 4-8, and last year they were 1-10. So in the upward swing, and how much money he's bringing in, and players he's bringing in, transfers, Colorado could be a decent team now that they're moving to the Big 12. I really do think that if Deion sticks to the plan, they could be a favorite to win the Big 12 year in, year out. Because the Big 12 is going to be a very lackluster conference. Let's be real. Oregon State had a decent year with DJ Ugalali, whatever his name is. Again, they were just, the Pac-12 was so stacked this year. People might say the Pac-12 wasn't good. No, the Pac-12 was arguably the best conference, even better than the Big Ten and the SEC this year. They were absolutely stacked in terms of their team. And Oregon State just was not in the top 4 of those teams, but a great season for them. Wisconsin, they sucked this year. Oklahoma beat Texas, also an inconsistent team. North Carolina, Drake May did not, people thought that Drake May was one of the Heisman favorites. He was horrible this year, and for that reason, North Carolina did not do so well. Ole Miss had a great season, a really great season. They just could not get those needed plays to beat teams like Alabama and Georgia, but a great season for them. A&M, again, I don't know not why they keep putting Texas A&M in the top 25 every year. They suck. Jimbo Fisher is out after they paid him $7 million. All that money is going down the drain. They are not a good team, and they've never been a good team, to be frank, since like the 70s. So I don't know what the deal is. Tulane, and then Iowa, great defense, but no offense. Let's go ahead and now move over. I will also say this before we get started. James Madison University, despite losing the final game of the season, they deserve to be a bowl game. The very idea that a team that is moving up a division is banned from a bowl game, why is that even a rule? That's the dumbest rule ever invented. Let's go ahead and move down let's work our way up. I've already spoiled it, but Kansas State, again, they could have beat us. Did they beat Oklahoma? I don't remember, but should they be in the top 25 over some other teams? Let's actually see if we can come here and go to week 15, and maybe it will show us teams, others receiving votes. So in the AP top 25, they are not in. They're actually third. And James Madison, Tulane's in there. Liberty, undefeated. Clemson, Troy, Utah. Well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Let's go back. The SMU at 24, they upset, gosh, who did they upset? Tulane, they upset Tulane. So, great in the season for them. They will be going to a decent bowl game. Are they in the New Year's 6? I don't remember. It's New Year's 6 bowls games. But, great season for them. Liberty, undefeated. One of 3 undefeated teams. Well, one of 4. Excuse me. One of 4 undefeated teams left in the nation. Great season. Clemson, again, as I said, coming back after a disastrous start. Tennessee, lackluster. Honestly, I would put Clemson over. I would put Tennessee behind all these teams at 25. Oklahoma State at 20. They got blown out. This is the most inconsistent team I've ever seen. They get blown out by a mid-major team, get blown out by UCF, and then go and beat Oklahoma. And then we can blow them out in the Big 12 championship game, which I think if we wouldn't have blown them out, we might not be in the playoffs. But because we did blow them out, we proved that we can be dominant, and yikes for them. They could be, imagine if they wouldn't have blown out those 2 games, and they would be, what, 10-2? Then who else did they lose to? I forget the 2 losses, but one is to us. Oregon State, again, just the competition was too much. Utah, Oregon, Washington. Notre Dame, technically, I suppose. No, that's ACC, sorry. A tough conference. I really think it was the best conference this year, to be frank. Even better than the SEC. Hate me if you do, but that's what I think. NC State, very surprising 9-3 team coming out of nowhere. So kudos to them. I didn't even watch them all year. Whatever. Iowa, again, great defense, no offense. You got to be able to score the ball, dude. Straight up. Notre Dame, again, one of those teams I already thought could be in the playoffs with a great quarterback, Sam Hartman, who did not have that great of a game, was too inconsistent. At 16, Louisville, 10-3. Upset Notre Dame, actually blew out Notre Dame, and then had a chance to beat FSU. Well, we'll get that in a bit, but let's get into it. Had a chance to beat FSU, who's on their 3rd string. Obviously, Jordan Travis got injured a couple weeks ago. Then the new star, 2nd string, got a concussion, and so it was a 3rd string. And that guy can't even hit the broadside of a barn. It's probably the worst quarterback in the country. Like, they couldn't even get a first down. But Louisville couldn't do anything either. Like, if Louisville could have just scored 2 touchdowns early, if they could have just scored early, they literally could have beat FSU. FSU has a great defense. But Louisville fumbled the bag. They do not deserve to be in the top 15. They should have, dropped all the way down to, 20. What? Horrible team. Arizona. Now, they started off the year as one of probably the people would predict that Arizona would be in the bottom 10 of all teams in the country. And they're in the top 15. 9-3. They had a unbelievable end of the season. They went on an absolute tear. Kudos to them. I didn't even know Arizona had ever been good at football. This year, they were. Kudos to them. LSU, again, just no defense. We're not good enough against the top teams. Oklahoma, they beat us, but they lost some of their key games due to the inconsistency of mainly Dylan Gabriel, but a good team nonetheless. I will give you that. Ole Miss, again, another good team, just not good enough to be the top team. Same thing with Penn State and Missouri. Missouri had an amazing season, came out of nowhere, and was in the top 10. Missouri in the top 10? What the heck? A great quarterback, a great coach, a very promising future for Missouri. Kinda, because the SEC is just so top heavy. Oregon, again, if one or two more plays go their way, they could have beat Washington either time and could be in the playoffs. Ohio State, the same way. Only lost to number 1 Michigan. Some people might say they deserve to be in. No, they don't. They didn't win the conference championship. But yeah. Georgia, again. Number 1 team all year. There's speculation. Here's what I'm going to say. They played Missouri, a good team. They beat Ole Miss, a good team. They beat LSU, a good team. However, their very first, and I will say this wholeheartedly, their very first true test was Alabama. Because Alabama in the beginning of the season was not good. We exposed Jalen Milroe as not a good quarterback. And kudos to him. He turned it around. But we'll get that in a little bit more detail a little bit later. But Georgia's first true test was against Alabama. Very good defense. Much better offense. And they could not do much, to be frank. If you watch the game, you can see that Alabama's defense was pretty much dominating Georgia all game long. Besides some here and there great plays. But Alabama was the clear better team that game by far. And kind of exposed Georgia in a way. Georgia's still a great game. Still a great team. But they deserve to be in the playoffs? Heck to the no. And then we're going to touch on the top 5, top 4-ish. Florida State, the very first undefeated Power 5 conference champion to ever to be excluded from the playoffs. Now here's the thing. Florida State beat LSU. SEC team. Florida State had Jordan Travis, who was a Heisman favorite. He got hurt against South Alabama. Season is over. Second string quarterback, not too bad. I will say, not too bad of a player. He got a concussion. Third string comes in, and they cannot score, or run the ball, or pass the ball, or move the ball at all against Louisville. They end up winning 16-6, but against Louisville, here's the thing. Yes, they're undefeated. Yes, they won their conference championship of a Power 5 school, but are they one of the top 5 teams in the nation? No. If that third string player plays, they would lose to Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Missouri, Penn State, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, LSU, Arizona, not Louisville because they already beat them, Notre Dame, probably not Iowa because Iowa can't score either. They would lose to a vast majority of the teams in the top 15 with that third string guy because he sucks. He sucks. Now, I know there is a considerable time off until the bowl games start, so maybe the second string will clear concussion protocol. I think that's his injury. If the second string starts, then maybe. But even then, I don't see them beating Georgia. I think Georgia actually will blow them out, to be frank. And then it will prove that they just not deserve to be in top 4 despite everyone's whining. And then the top 4. Number 4, Alabama sneaks past Florida State, as does Texas. Alabama, again, beat the undefeated number 1 team in the nation and won the SEC, which everyone says is the best division in football. I digress. I think it was Pac-12 this year. But either way, doesn't that mean that they should go in? And then what about Texas? Texas beat Alabama at home. And if you watch that game, it was only a temple. It was 34-24. However, that game was a dog smack throwdown. Texas beat the crap out of Alabama. Alabama had one good quarter in the third quarter. But the other 4, Texas was dominant. It looked like Alabama expected to win. And if they were scared, Jalen Milroe was absolutely horrible that game. Texas was like a national champion that game. So, arguably, if Alabama gets in, Texas has to get in. So they both jump Florida State. And then we have Washington, obviously undefeated, beat Oregon twice. Honestly, when I saw the games, Oregon and Washington were playing the same teams, right? Oregon would blow them out. Washington would barely win. I thought Oregon was the better, well-rounded team. Michael Penix is really, really inconsistent with his throws. I thought Oregon was going to beat Washington by 10-plus points. And they didn't. So kudos to Washington for proving me wrong. They deserve to be the top 2. And then Michigan, obviously number 1, undefeated, beat Ohio State. There's a lot of people talking about a lot of smack that Florida State should be in. But I think that these are far and away the best 4 teams in the country. Fact, period, end of story. And that's what it should be. The best 4 teams should be in. And that's it. So let's go ahead and look at the bowl games, maybe? Can we look at the bowl games? The Rose Bowl game is playoff semifinal. Team to be announced. So they have not announced it. Let's do this. Your 6 games 2023. Let's see if it pulls it up. Here we go. Let's look at this. So we got, I don't want every bowl, I just want the New 6 bowls. Here we go. Oregon and Liberty. So Liberty, being the non-Power 5 team, undefeated, they deserved to play it against Oregon. Look, Liberty's a great team. I'm not sure if they're going to beat Oregon. Probably not. Oregon is just a 2-1 team. Oregon will probably win that one. However, we have seen teams shock us before, so good luck to Liberty. Florida State and Georgia. As I said again, Georgia's going to beat the shit out of Florida State and prove that Florida State, despite being undefeated, despite being a Power 5 conference champion, did not deserve to play playoffs, period. And they'll be exposed. Penn State and Ole Miss. That should be a great game. I got Ole Miss. And Ohio State and Missouri. That's going to be a great game too. So it's going to be really good New York 6 games this season. So yeah, that is my thoughts on the rankings. Disagree with me if you wish in the comments down below. But I will stand by the fact of my opinion that these are the best 4 teams in the nation. And I think it's going to be a great playoffs. I really hope Texas wins. Again, I'm a big Texas fan. This could be our chance to win. Maybe we could even play Alabama again in the championship. That would be crazy. That would be awesome. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you do for more content. I'll be uploading a lot more gaming content coming soon with Lethal Company and other things. And yeah, hope you guys have a great day. And stay warm. This cold month's coming, alright? See ya.